Hello, you're listening to Cancer Answers. I'm your host, Heather Ifat, and today Dr. Kevin Castle will talk about protecting skin from cancer. Dr. Castle currently serves as a full member in the Population Sciences in the Pacific Program, Cancer Prevention, at the UH Cancer Center. His research focuses on implementing effective cancer control interventions by working with communities experiencing cancer health disparities. Thank you, Dr. Castle, for being here. It's great to have you here. What would you like our listeners to know about skin cancer?
Well, again, thank you for having me here. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk about skin
Of
cancer.
course.
One of the most important things I want people to know, skin cancer is one of the most common and preventable types of cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Skin cancer in and of itself is cancer that occurs on the cells, surface layer of a person's skin, of course. There are different types. There are some types that are more virulent than others. Basal cell and squamous cell skin cancers are very common. The most deadly form is melanoma, and that is not quite as common, but it is one of the most deadly forms of skin cancer.
Mm-hmm. And who is at high risk for skin cancer and why?
Well, that's a good question, and thank you for asking. Everyone's actually at risk for skin cancer. There are some misconceptions that people who have darker complexions may not have risk for skin cancers, but actually risk is equivalent across the board.
Mm-hmm.
Having a severe sunburn early in life, it puts people at high risk for melanoma.
Mm.
So we want to protect children early on. The onset of melanoma actually occurs more frequently in people who are from 15 years old to about 35 years old. That's some of the that's a group that's increasing in cancer virulence, especially for skin cancer. So we want to be mindful of that. Um, for basal and squamous cell cancers, they occur a little bit later in life, but everyone's at risk for that type of cancer. It's not as deadly as melanoma, it doesn't have the propensity to spread to other organs, but it is a very common type of cancer. And what happens is the treatment for melanomas often is excision. So
Mm.
because these cancers occur in sun-exposed areas, you're talking about places like your face, arms, and legs that need excision, which is really not cosmetically appealing. So there's a morbidity cost for all cancers, and particularly based on squamous cell cancers, even though it's not deadly.
Mm-hmm. I see. And what signs and symptoms should people look out for when it comes to maybe possibly potentially developing skin cancer?
Yeah.
Because that's oftentimes a concern for people. So what should they look out for?
Yeah, you should look out for abnormal lesions in your skin, a sore that doesn't heal, moles that are changing shape or in terms of their elevation from the skin. Anything that's abnormal on your skin. So that's why it's important to be vigilant and know what your skin looks like, what your moles look like, where there are patches or lesions that may develop. If you have a suspicious area, the best advice is to have it seen by a dermatologist,
A
have it checked out.
dermatologist.
Yeah.
Hmm. Okay. Now, with summer here, what measures can individuals take to protect themselves from getting skin cancer? Because that's also a concern that many people have that, it's we are living in Hawaii. It's the climate is like this, especially during the summer. So, what can they do to help themselves here?
Yeah, it's important to be mindful because we're so close to the equator. The skin cancers are caused by ultraviolet radiation, either from
Mm-hmm.
the sun or from tanning booths. There are some other factors that can cause skin cancer, but those are the predominant ones. That's why it's preventable. So avoiding certain times of the day. Typically, people should be mindful of the hours between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. That direct exposure to direct sunlight. If possible, if you're outdoors, seek shade when you need to. Also, wearing clothing that's protective of the skin. Most fabrics, cotton fabrics, have a tight enough weave that they'll offer some protection. And the way you can tell is if the fabric is protective is just hold it up to the light. If you can see through it, that gives you an idea how much the fabric is blocking ultraviolet radiation.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing is in those situations where you can't wear protective clothing, hats, sunglasses, and seeking shade, to use some type of sunscreen. Typically, we recommend a sun protection factor, SPF of 30 or more. And then people who are outside, they need to reapply every hour, particularly if they're sweating, engaged in athletic activity. So every hour you want to reapply. It takes about a tablespoon of sunscreen to cover most sun-exposed areas. But those are some of the things you can do to protect yourself. And again, like I said, everyone's at risk for skin cancers,
Mm-hmm.
no matter what their complexion. Some people may burn a little more quickly, and that's another indicator of risk for skin cancers is you getting sunburns. And sunburns, like I said, early in life and increasing over time, it can be a risk factor for skin cancers later.
Mm-hmm. And many people have a concern regarding SPF. So can you please talk more about what SPF is and what's an ideal, SPF recommended for people with different skin colors?
Yeah, well, it all depends. What we recommend, dermatologists across the board recommend an SPF of at least 30 plus. SPF stands for sun protection factor. It
Mm-hmm.
literally was taking someone who was very fair skinned and looking at the time it would take from them to burn and then adding that layer of protection. So SPF is a factor of how long it takes for them to burn. So
Mm-hmm.
the sun protection factor of 30. So if you typically would burn in 10 minutes, this is 30 times 10 minutes. So that gives you that, affords you that level of protection. Now, sun protection factors run from anywhere from 30 all the way up to 100. Those extra, after you look at a sun protection of
Mm-hmm.
about 50, that extra protection really is not found in actually reducing risk. So but it's important to wear a sunscreen if you're out there and you can't protect yourself by other means. In terms of sunscreen usage, it's probably the sunscreen that you like the best, that ones that people want to wear. And those can vary. Some people like to have the very dense, sticky sunscreens that will, create a layer on their skin. There's different types, but mostly we recommend people use a sunscreen that they're going to use regularly. Whatever the sunscreen you like, use that one.
And is the lotion more effective than the spray, or which one do you think is better?
Yeah, it depends. There is a lot of controversy about the sprays because they may not be applied as
Mm-hmm.
needed. They may not confer a layer of protection. But if people use them on a regular basis, I think it really doesn't matter if they make an effort to apply them correctly. Again, I would have this discussion with a dermatologist
Mm-hmm.
and talk about a person's risk for skin cancer. The idea is to do other things in concert with sunscreen, with sunscreen being a kind of a path of last resort for a person. If you could do other things in addition to using sunscreen, that's fine. But lotion, there are face applications for people have that complaint that sunscreens, if they're having or performing athletic activities, it burns their eyes. So they want to
Mm-hmm.
have a special formulation for their face, and they have those. So whatever one a person likes, I think that would be the best one for them to use because you want people to use it on a regular basis.
Got it. And towards the end, what ongoing studies are taking place regarding melanoma and skin cancer prevention here at the Cancer Center?
Oh yeah, well, so we have a variety of studies. One of my favorite studies is working with athletes in school tennis programs. We're actually looking at what we call unintentional tanners. These are kids outside, because of their activity, they don't really can't afford the opportunity to seek shade or to having other means of protection. So I work with McKinley High School tennis team. We actually gave them some resources, and we looked at how we have an objective measure of their sun protection. We look at what's called a photospectrometer, where we can take a measure of their melanin and the reflectivity of their skin and see if, in fact, their melanin levels have changed over time, and looking at their nascent melanin levels versus their current melanin levels, and then tracking those changes over time to see objectively if they're using sun protection behavior. So that's kind of a fun study working with the kids. They are really open to learning about sun protection. These are high school kids. A lot of them, because they're not under the purview of their parents as they were before, they have some autonomy in some of the consumer choices, the clothes they buy, and how they perform their health promotion behavior. So learning about the risk in terms of appearance for skin cancers is really important to them, but they don't often know. So educating them about their risk for skin cancers and providing them with some opportunities for protection is very important. So we're looking at that in some of our studies, particularly, like I said, the unintentional tanners who are athletes. Another study we have is working with, dermatologists. A lot of times, melanomas can be not well detected, and there's sometimes a lag time between when a general practitioner identifies a suspicious case and can have a person seen by a dermatologist. So we're looking at how to support both general practitioners and dermatologists through the use of photographs. Dermoscopy is one of the techniques we use. Is where you use a dermoscope to look at a potential lesion, and a determination can be made whether or not this is a melanoma or a skin cancer. So we're looking at some artificial intelligence supported evaluation of photographs and dermoscopic lesions to see if they can help dermatologists and general practitioners streamline that process and make decisions a lot earlier and a lot more quickly.
This was very informative. Thank you so much, Dr. Castle, for being here today. That is all for now, listeners. Stay tuned for a new guest and new episode next week on Thursday at 12 p.m. on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and Facebook. You can visit our website, uhcancercenter.org. You can also follow us on our social media pages on Instagram and Facebook, as well as Twitter. Our handle is @UHCancerCenter. Until next time, take care. Bye-bye.